Welcome, blessings, brothers and sisters. It's Lori Ann Spagna here with you today to chat briefly about the topic area of your awakening your multidimensional being. You know, I recently did a sort of little mini poll on my Facebook page, which I've been having a lot of fun with this lately, just asking people to share more about themselves. And I asked the question of people, one of the questions I asked was, what are your superpowers? And I was actually kind of surprised at some of the answers. You know, someone said listening, which is a superpower. Someone said power napping. Someone said empathy. Someone said courage and kindness, patience and tenacity and resilience. And someone said at times wisdom. Someone said being me. And these are all beautiful answers. High intelligence, someone talked about their healing abilities. And I think these are awesome. They were all great. I love getting that, understanding more about other people. Someone talked about being a lie detector, power napping. And I think this is interesting, but to me, when I talk about superpowers, what I'm really referring to is our ability within us. And these are all superpowers. I'm not debating or disagreeing with what people were writing there, but what I am saying is that we have the potential for powers that are beyond human experience. So I've talked a lot of times and shared a lot of times about how I love to play with the weather and manipulate the weather. And manipulate is kind of like a yucky word, but you really, like Master Merlin, Ascended Master Merlin was a master manipulator. Melchizedek, master manipulator. Even divine goddesses, Lakshmi, for example, a master manipulator in the sense that they could work with the quantum field and energy to manipulate the field of consciousness, of energy, because everything has consciousness, to bring into the material reality and experience. In fact, Jesus turning water into wine, whether that was parable, mystical, or actual, factual, physical experience. I mean, none of us in this current reality were there at that point in time and space, but we interpret that storyline through our lens of perception, turning water into wine. But that is an experience of divine alchemy. A master manipulator can alchemize and turn something from non-physical into physical. Just as, for example, in referring to working with the weather, I can take a weather pattern, a weather storm, and neutralize it. I can take a weather pattern and turn it into something that is more desirable. I can also master manipulate the experience of linear time. So I know how to lengthen time and create more time. So these are superhuman abilities. Another example of a superhuman ability is the ability to heal physical issues. I was recently on a call with one of my clients who I don't really know very well. I have only worked with this person for a very short period of time. And he had, in one session, told me that he had been living with an extended period of of pain in his solar plexus region, the belly center, due to some of the pharmaceutical drugs, in his perspective, that he had been taking. And as I worked with him, I mean, of course, I know it's not at the root of it due to the physical drugs, the pharmaceutical drugs, because those only exist in the physical world. To get to the root of something, we must go beyond the physical. So I worked with him and the light work and higher consciousness, and within 1 hour, with one session, those pains that he had lived with in his solar plexus region, in his belly area, were completely gone. And he himself was astounded that in one session, that this pain that he's been living with for quite some time was removed. That is master manipulation. That is a superhuman ability, right? Ascended masters and angels and the angelic forces have many superhuman abilities. We have the ability to access those superhuman abilities as well. However, in order to do that, and many of us if you resonate as intuitive, right? If you are a healer, if you are any form of professional light worker, you can understand this, right? Because, of course, all healers, all true gifted healers have superhuman abilities. Intuitives like me, I have superhuman ability in the sense that I have gnosis. I can stand next to someone and know everything about that person in almost an instant without them needing to say necessarily anything. It's not always 100% like that. Sometimes I need them to just say a couple things, but overall, I know everything I need to know in order to help or serve a person in a matter of moments. Same with an animal. Typically speaking, I can know everything I need to know that I would need to know to help an animal in a matter of moments. Sometimes just a few short exchanges of information with either the person or the animal, and then I have everything I need to know to help them. These are superhuman abilities. I am an outstanding energy worker, so I would call that a superhuman ability in the sense that I can clear, heal, and resolve energy through lineages, lifetimes, and ancestry. These are superhuman abilities. Okay, where am I going with all of this? For example, let me give one other example because this is very relevant. I recently was working with one of my clients who is wanting to develop her business, her work. And I'm starting to work much more now with the visionaries who have, businesses that they want to develop. And she wants to develop her business, but she's been really thrown off course by many of her own challenges, including her desire to find love and romance. We spent one session together. Within one session, I knew that she was she was kind of getting herself into a romantic relationship with a man who was not in his integrity and who was going to be taking everything he possibly could from her. And because she was so desiring to give love and to give everything of herself, and so she misattracted something into her field, someone who was really not aligned with her most benevolent best. Ultimately, he was teaching her something, and we worked within one session. I knew that this man would probably very likely scam her out of lots of money and love and energy. But before I could communicate that to her, I had to first get through some of her own blind spots of her attachment to love, her attachment to being saved, rescued, her attachment to being being willing to not know the truth, so that she would spiritually bypass, so that she could have this man in her life. So we had to clear that within one session, and for sure by the next session the relationship was completed, and he did reveal himself as someone who was not in his integrity. And likely that might have pursued much longer at a much greater cost to her. There was a cost, right? But at least she got out of it, and she got those gifts. She ended that. She was able to end a wrong relationship. This is in a matter of hours. The same client, by the way, also in the very next session was struggling, as I mentioned, to create her own business. And she had been struggling for years, trying to figure out who she was going to talk to, what she was going to offer, and how she was going to serve. Within one session, I could download for her and provide to her the blueprint plan for her, especially through accessing it from her own root chakra center, which is where that stuff oftentimes can be located. It's one area. And in any case, within one session, channel through her for her exactly what she's meant to deliver and offer, bringing clarity, precision, absolute certainty to her. And that was in less than an hour. Things that she had struggled with for years. So this is a superhuman ability. I have a superhuman power. This is where I'm going with this. We all have this potential within us. It's not something that comes with a pill, though. It comes through process. One of the process I'm offering next Saturday on the 26th is something called Awaken Your Multidimensional Self. Now, in your multidimensional field, when it gets cleared of all the debris, and debris is just energy, right? All different kinds of energy. When it gets cleared of the debris, your superhuman abilities start to come online. And when they come online, you get your gifts as you're ready to handle them in the physical material world, as you can utilize them. And you start learning to utilize them and applying them to support yourself, to help yourself and others. Now, the thing I hear more than anything from awakening beings, from even visionaries, although not as much, because visionaries are action takers, right? A lot of light workers can be somewhat passive. They sort of learn and they do a lot of carpet sweeping a lot of times. They just want to see everything as all positive all the time. Whereas visionaries, this is why I love working with people who are action takers and who really want to be of service and change the world for the better. What happens with us, what I hear more than anything in the communities that I serve and contribute to, is they want to have more of their intuitive guidance. They want to know more and more that they're connected to their own guides, to their own team. They want to have more clarity about right actions and right purposes. And then when a solution is presented to them at a ridiculously low rate, such as this, awakening your multidimensional being, when a solution is presented, they fail to take action. Why do they fail to take action? That's the thing about sometimes light workers. They're just in a lot of airy-fairy light, love and light. They don't always take the appropriate action, and then they tend to wonder why they don't have the connection that they want, or that they're struggling in some area or another, because we tend to be this kind of floaty energy, and we need to couple it with the masculine energy that takes appropriate right action to transform our experience. So with all of this, what I'm suggesting to you is that you would like to open more of your superhuman abilities, and I'm talking about some of the things I've just shared here, then I would invite you to take action here, because this kind of one-on-one connection with me, in a state where you will be able to ask questions of someone who has achieved a certain level of mastery, equal to many of the ascended masters you have already heard about and known about. And for me, I have been developing humility over the past few years, but now I'm starting to kind of blossom in a whole new way myself that I did not quite realize, as I've shed some of the old relationships where they were not recognizing this, and I started to come into alignment more fully with what I'm truly here for, right? By working on my own journey and starting to come into the recognition that these superhuman abilities are now blossoming in an even greater way, so that I can bring them forward for others. It's not often that one has exposure to someone in such an up close and personal one-on-one experience at such a ridiculously low rate. So I would invite you, if this is something that excites you, to awaken more of your superhuman abilities, to start to get into more energetic alignment where the divine can flow through you more and more and express itself through you, to join us for this event. As I said, it's a ridiculously low-priced event for what I will be offering on Saturday the 26th. It's on my website under live events, and it's called Awakening Your Multidimensional Being. And your multidimensional being is that aspect of you that resonates at so many different frequencies of consciousness and light that you have immediate access to divine knowing, to extrasensory, ultra-sensory gifts, talents, and abilities, so that you can utilize them in service. And yes, of course, you awaken more of your connection with your guides and your guardians and masters and teachers and loved ones, and the ability to communicate with the so-called dead, because we know there's no such thing as dead people or so-called dead animals, etc., because there's no such thing as dead. But the point is like, a lot of people go after these gifts and take these classes. So they'll go to classes like mediumship classes or Reiki classes or some kind of class, but they don't necessarily recognize that it's not about the tools you learn. It's about awakening the knowing from within and accessing the source within that brings it through you, which is a way better way to learn this stuff, because otherwise you're mostly learning from let's call within or beneath the egoic structure of fourth dimensional consciousness. This is another topic area. I won't go down this, maybe too complicated for the moment without more explanation, but let me just say that if you're learning it through the brain, it is not the same thing as awakening it from within the body being. That's what I'm talking about. The multidimensional self allows it to be awakened from within you, because you're clearing out the aspects of energy that have been blocking you from it. Those aspects of energy are just the densities of living in a physical world for eons of time that have kept you basically in this perpetuating cycle of living in the physical world without direct access to source, right? Do we understand? We can understand that religion basically perpetuates that experience for the most part, right? It's asking us to pray to a separate God outside of us. And that has been the paradigm. That has been what's ruled the paradigm, dominated the paradigm for so long. So now we're shifting out of that old paradigm, but we must awaken what has been dormant and clear, heal, and resolve what has been covering us, so to speak, interfering in our field. So what I'm saying here is it's within you, and it needs to be birthed from within you, awakened from within you, and exposed in a sense, because it's around you, in a sense, within and around you. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this is helpful. And I can assure you that this class, while is extremely high level, it is very transformational. You don't have to know a lot. You have to be willing and show up. You have to be willing and participate. And as I mentioned, this is not something that's readily available or often shared, and certainly not at such an ultra low price. I won't offer this again. I won't be doing this again. I am creating a much higher level program, which will make it harder to get direct access to me, because I want to work with the people who really are ready in a more consistent and repeatable environment, so I can really help them cultivate this stuff. But this will be a very high level class that will give you very transformational, very accelerated results in an extremely short period of time. Plus you'll have the tools and knowledge of how to apply this in your life in a repeatable way so that it can serve you, and so that you can access those extrasensory, superhuman abilities that are lying dormant, waiting for you to awaken. I hope you will join me. It is on Saturday the 26th. Awakening Your Multidimensional Being. And it is a live webinar. You do not have to be there live to get all the benefits, right? The first part will be a teaching structure, teaching, learning. We'll have a quick break in between, and then we'll do an energetic process, a healing, transformational energy healing process to awaken more of the light body within you. You will learn the process. You will engage in the process, you will do the process, and it will transform you. And then, likely, if you repeat the process, you'll also be able to help others to use the process as well, especially if you are a visionary, especially if you are an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, someone who reaches the public in some way, especially if you work with animals, if you have any form of group of animals that live with and or that you serve, like a shelter, or if you're a foster parent or anything like that. This will hugely help those that you share space with as well. You will love it. So I hope you'll join me. Again, it's at LoriSpagna.com. Under the live events tab, you will see the link for it, and it's called Awakening Your Multidimensional Self. The live event is on Saturday the 26th, and yes, it's recorded, and you get the recording, of course. All right, with that, I'm going to sign off for now. I hope to see you there. And until then, I'm sending you my infinite love, wishing you your most benevolent best. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.